Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video. In this video, I'm going to talk about what my thoughts are on which covenant is better for protection warriors in Shadowlands. I'm also going to take a look at what choice might be better for someone who also DPSs. Enjoy. To start this off, I'll talk about what looks like the best choice of covenant for protection warriors and why the others seem worse. Right now, Kyrian looks like the best, with Necrolord coming right behind them, after that Venthyr, and the last would be Nightfae. Nightfae seems like the worst covenant because the ability you get, Ancient Aftershock, is like a shockwave ability, but knocks enemies down, and it stays on the ground and generates 16 rage per enemy hit, every 3 seconds for 12 seconds. The second ability you get is Soul Shape, which allows you to shapeshift into a Vulpin, teleporting 15 yards forward and increasing movement speed by 50%. You can also reactivate Soul Shape every few seconds to teleport again. Effects last for 12 seconds, and I would say nothing too great here, as Kyrian has a better Covenant ability for all-around dungeon and raid experience in my opinion. Next off, I would like to talk about Venthyr. First off, the Covenant ability is Condemn, which replaces Execute. With that said, you can only use it the same time you could use Execute, which severely underperforms unlike the other choices because it's only usable half of the time in the fights. That's that. The next ability is the Door of Shadows. It's just a teleport every 1 minute, useful in some situations, especially in Mythic Plus situations, but definitely not the best choice. Now, Necrolord could be said to be almost in line with Kyrian. In my opinion. Their first ability that you get is Conqueror's Banner, and it's a great choice. It buffs your maximum health by 20%, critical strike chance by 10%, and critical strike chance by an additional 1% per one stack, up to a total of 30%, depending on how many stacks of glory you have to 2 allies within 15 yards of the banner. You gain 1 stack of glory from spending 20 rage and killing enemies. This is a great buff to health, and a nice damage increase for both regular dungeons, Mythic Plus dungeons, and raids. The next ability you get is Fleshcraft, another great defensive ability. It grants you a passive shield of flesh, like an extra suit of armor made from flesh and bone. Ew, right? So for 2 minutes, you get a shield of flesh and bone that absorbs damage equal to 20% of your maximum health for the cost of a couple second cast in between pulls. Channeling this ability near a corpse claims their essence, growing the shield up to 50% of your maximum health. This is much more effective against powerful enemies, and it is such a great choice if you wanted extra protection against pretty much anything. However, it is not the best choice in my opinion. Kyrian is, and here's why. Kyrian, in my opinion, is the best choice for Covenant. The first reason for this is the Phial of Serenity you can get from your Steward, which is this ability here. You summon the Steward here. This consumable has 3 charges, restores 20% health automatically, and removes all diseases, poisons, curses, and bleeds from you. This is amazing because the first raid of Shadowlands is said to have a ton of bleeds in it. Who knows if there's poisons, this and that, curses, all that kind of stuff inside of the raid. I wouldn't know because I haven't been able to test it when the testing has gone out the last few weeks for it. But honestly, a really good choice. I feel like this consumable will alone save us protection warriors from certain death more times than once. It is also on a 3-minute cooldown, which means you should always have access to it. Next, or the Covenant ability, Spear of Bastion. This ability is a great choice for regular dungeons, Mythic Plus dungeons, and raids, for the tether effect and rage gain from it. This deals damage to all tethered enemies over 4 seconds, and yes, I said tethered, which means enemies are stuck in one place for 4 seconds, allowing for a great opportunity for us to get away and regain ourselves in countless situations. This ability also generates 25 rage on top of it, and the crowd control and rage you get every 1 minute is a really good addition to our playstyle. Now that I have hopefully made it clear enough that Kyrian should be your go-to as a protection warrior, let's talk about which Soulbind path to take and why you should go down it. So out of the 3 choices we have for Soulbinds, those being Pelagios, Clea, and Forgelight Prime Mechanicos, I think Pelagios is the best choice because their Soulbind talent tree consists of a nice mix of passives, defensive conduits, situational conduits, and a beneficial last Soulbind passive. The first passive, Let Go of the Past, is a nice starter for this Soulbind. This passive grants an increase to your versatility by 1% for 10 seconds by using an ability if it isn't a repeat of the last ability that you used, stacking up to 5%. Because one of our main active mitigation abilities as a protection warrior is works off of versatility, which is Ignore Pain, this increase in effectiveness of Ignore Pain is very nice to our survival. It's probably one of the better passives, I would have to say, for this tree. Next, if we head straight down to our first conduit, which is an endurance conduit, we will have a look and see what we can do here. So depending on what you're doing, you can put whatever you want here, but I recommend slotting in Brutal Vitality, because if you're running a Devastator Haste build, like I explained in one of my previous videos, I think it was my first video actually on this channel, you'll be dealing constant damage, and this conduit adds 6% of damage you deal to Ignore Pain, which is a nice survivability conduit. If we move straight down from here, we hit Road of Trials. This ability isn't amazing in any way, but it is needed to progress forward, so just take it. All it does is increase your movement speed after defeating an enemy. Pretty simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. The next is another endurance conduit, but for this one, you can take Iron Maiden or Stalwart Guardian as your choices. I recommend Stalwart Guardian because the lower cooldown on Shield Wall is very powerful, while Iron Maiden will give you a possible charge of shield block back if you use Revenge, but you don't use Revenge all that much. If you have enough haste and you have the Devastator build, you're going to be hitting a lot more Thunderclaps and a lot more Shield Slams and very rare Revenges unless you're trying to rage dump. So my choice here, my recommendation of choice here would be Stalwart Guardian. Alright, from here you have 2 choices. You can move left or right. I recommend the right path because this passive gives you the chance to obtain Cleansed Cloth and enchanting materials, which is self-explanatory. Any way to get free mats for enchantments is pretty much a win. So if we go down from here, we have another conduit. It's a potency conduit. I would say Piercing Verdict would be the go-to for this conduit because it grants increased damage and rage generation by 20% on the Spear of a Bastion ability. This is critical to higher output of damage from it, and the increased rage means more active mitigation. Very, very nice. Again, you have the choice to go down a right path or a left path. Here, I recommend going down the right path again, because it leads to a finesse conduit, which we haven't gotten so far in this Soulbind. Since we're not based around a damage build, we don't really want a damage conduit, but a finesse conduit will give us some situational utility. So we'll go down there. Okay, there are not a whole lot of good choices for the finesse option for the conduits. Out of the handful that we have access to, though, I recommend choosing Inspiring Presence, which for those of you who didn't know, is actually a talent from the Warrior talent tree moved here as a conduit. Having Rallying Cry's health granted and duration increased by 20% means a much better last-minute defense that will benefit you and everyone else around you majorly. It is probably the best finesse conduit available to us, in my opinion. The last choice that we have in this Soulbind path is Combat Meditation, which is a nice passive. Every single time Spear of Bastion is activated, your mastery is increased by 5% for 20 seconds and occasionally expels something called sorrowful memories, and walking through these extends the effect by 3 seconds. Having a passive increase in how much you block and critically block every time you cast Spear of Bastion is really cool and has nice synergy with big nasty pulls especially. As for DPS, I don't know much about Arms or Fury Warriors, because I main a prot and have mained a prot for about 4 years now. But I still think that Pelagios is still the better choice. Taking the path that grants the most potency conduits will increase your DPS overall, and also take you down a path that will give you a passive or two that will benefit your DPS numbers. Also, the last passive that you get from Pelagios's tree increases mastery, which for Arms and Fury will also add to your overall numbers, which is nice. And there you have it, folks. Those are my thoughts on what the best Covenant choice for Protection Warriors are in Shadowlands. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and please remember to subscribe, like the video, comment, and share with your friends and family. Remember to turn on notifications if you do subscribe to be notified when another video is released. Also, if you're interested, I'm live every Monday to Friday at 4:30 p.m. CST on Twitch at twitch.tv/khromrok, and would love to see you there. Links down below. We chat about changes and updates, everything Warcraft related, and would love for you to join the conversation. If you use Discord, we also have a Discord community you can join as well. Link is down below. Thanks for watching all. I hope you all have a great day, stay safe, game hard, and remember, performance is absolute.